Good evening and welcome to the Women's Fund first ever virtual annual event. My name is Kara Benningfield and I'm the chair of the Women's Fund of South Central Kentucky. And we are so pleased to have you here tonight. Although I will confess, I miss seeing your faces, your cute outfits, and your nice shoes, but I'm grateful to have you here. And I want to thank our sponsors who have made tonight's event possible. Our diamond sponsors this year are Argy, Atala, Baird, BG Uniforms, BKD, Bell or Ayerson Moore, Doctors Hearing Center, German American Bank, Love and Warden Eye Care, Prim and Brim, and Mary Elizabeth Vitale. What a great list of sponsors, and thank you all for sponsoring tonight's event. We also want to thank our in-kind sponsors: 440 Main, Three Girls Design, Atala, Regina Webb Salon and Spa, and Bid Monster Productions for making sure this event is going to go off without a hitch tonight. So thank you to all of our in-kind. To say that 2020 has been a challenging year would truly be an understatement. The theme of tonight's event, as you saw in your annual report, is immediate needs, immediate action. And that has been the theme of our Women's Fund for all of 2020. The obstacles that we are facing in our country, in our community, honestly have felt a little overwhelming at times. It can be easy to focus on the things that aren't going right, whether that's loved ones who are sick, high unemployment, special events like tonight where we can't see each other, or being separated from our friends and family. Those things are hard, and we know that a lot of members of our Women's Fund have been impacted in some really real and personal ways. However, anytime I start feeling a little bit down, I want to remind myself that there are always good things that we can find if we simply take the time and we look. We can also use this as an opportunity to affect positive change in ways that are within our control, when frankly there are a whole lot of things that are outside of our control. Our Women's Fund Advisory Board agreed that we needed to take immediate action to rapidly address urgent community needs created by the COVID-19 pandemic. So in response, we said, you know what, we can't do the same old thing we've always done. We've got to do something big and something different. So we modified our 2020 grants process to address the needs of women, children, and families in South Central Kentucky, which has been our mission from the very beginning. So I'm so excited to be able to speak to you virtually tonight and to showcase some of the big impact that we've been able to make. So back in April, we granted $43,812 to the COVID-19 Community Response and Recovery Fund. This was funded by earnings from the 2020 endowment. To me, the cool thing about that endowment is that it's funded by contributions from members of the fund, both past and present, who were able to make that happen. That contribution really focused on supporting immediate community needs. So that included things like food banks, homelessness and emergency support to meet needs like rent and utilities, as well as PPE and cleaning and hygiene supplies to support our local charities. The next big change that we made was to accelerate the timing of both our member voting and our grant making process so that we could provide grants to nonprofits rather than what we would be doing here tonight. And we did all of that really based on the votes of our members. We granted a total of $100,000 to 14 organizations. All of these 14 were top 4 finalists over the past 7 years. These are organizations that we've all come to know and love, hearing their grant presentations over the years. This is a grand total impact of $143,800 $812. And I have to tell you, that makes me so excited to be able to do that. When we were in the midst of pandemic, I will confess that I was a little bit worried that we wouldn't be able to be where we thought we had been in past years, and to be able to make that big of an impact through your help has been truly amazing. We want to ask that you would stay tuned, because at the end of the program, we are going to do a toast to our accomplishments. So make sure you have your bubbly from your little gift bag ready, get that chilled, and if you're able, take a selfie. I know you may not have dressed up as much tonight as you might if we were all together, but take your selfie. Let us see you having fun and celebrating our achievements. And if you could either post that to social media or send it to us as an email at the Community Foundation, we want to see you celebrating with us. So now let me introduce Jennifer Wethington, Executive Director of the Community Foundation of South Central Kentucky.
It's me. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. We're excited to be able to interact with you in this type of environment. But so everybody that signed up tonight got entered in for 2 door prizes, and we're going to be doing those throughout the night. And then also, if you paid your membership early, you get in the drawing for the Regina Webb Salon and Spa basket for 2. So keep watching, see who's going to win those. We're totally excited about that. We had some great gifts and income sponsors, and one of those was 440 Maine, who is going to give away our first door prize, and that is our charcuterie board with wine. And we're so thankful for 440 for offering that to us, and that we can give you that opportunity as well. So let's do the first drawing. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? All right, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. That was me that got put in there by accident. I can't win. I'm sorry, girls. Robin Miner is the one that we drew, who's going to get the charcuterie board and wine. Now let's hear from Kids on the Block.
Kids on the Block has been in Kentucky for over 35 years, and our job is to educate children on important life-changing messages that they might not learn in the classrooms or even at home. So we want to fill in the gaps where schools and parents may not have the time or the resources to educate on those particular topics. Kentucky was always ranked as one of the worst states for child abuse in the entire country. The most recent ranking has Kentucky actually is dead last. So we knew that child abuse needed to be the topic that we needed to partner with the Women's Fund for. We knew that we were the perfect organization to partner with the Women's Fund, because they could provide the funding and then we could actually do the programs. We're the only educational puppet troupe in Kentucky, the only organization that goes into schools to teach children about child abuse. We allow the children to have a question and answer period where they ask questions that they're only feel comfortable asking puppets, because they think they're kids, they think that they are reflecting the same hopes, dreams, likes, dislikes, fears that they have. And that's very important. And I think people wonder why puppets are still the most powerful tool, and it's because the children believe they're real and they think that they can answer all the questions that they might be scared to ask adults. After we received the Women's Fund grant, I think it changed Kids on the Block for the better, because it gave us something that we would have never gotten before, and that is the additional puppet troupe. Our mission is to teach children acceptance of differences. That's our key program, and so we never would want to abandon that. But what the Women's Fund did is they said, we know that this is a topic that only Kids on the Block can truly change. And so when they gave us the resources, the hope of that second troop, and launched that, it never would have been launched without the Women's Fund. And I think that's very important for people to know. A lot of people have asked us, well, why didn't you start a second troop, just on your own? Well, that's a huge amount of money we needed the funding for. We needed the jump start for, and they totally jump started that troop and just gave us the energy, the momentum, somehow the extra passion. We thought we couldn't be any more passionate. And when we got this additional staff in our office, they fit in so perfectly with us. So it just changed our organization forever. That we were the first programming grant, and there was so much hesitancy to fund a programming only grant because they thought being a one-hit wonder, well, after 3 years, what happens then? Well, we don't know what happens, but I can tell you that we're not going to let go of the staff. I can tell you that the second troop is here to stay. We want this to be something that we can do indefinitely across South Central Kentucky, offer child abuse prevention and intervention programs.
Well, I was brought on due to the Women's Fund grant, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been very illuminating and enjoyable. We've really been flexible with everything and fluid in how we've just been able to pivot and change direction no matter what the circumstances or what happened. But it's definitely allowed us to really push the child abuse prevention program. Kentucky being the #1 state in child abuse right now is absolutely terrible. And I think it's really important that we get that program out to schools because it really does encourage those kids that are being abused to step up and make a stand for themselves. It feels really amazing knowing that I will be able to increase the impact that this organization has by allowing more programs to be done, by increasing our social media, allowing our messages to get out into the public around Kentucky, reach as far as we possibly can, even outside of Kentucky.
It's just so important for people to know that just because they don't think it's happening to their family or they don't think it's happening in their neighborhood, it is happening. Child abuse is rampant in the world. It destroys children's lives, and it is so important to educate children. If we save just one child from just the trauma and just the complete devastation that will happen to their life when they're abused, if we can prevent that, but then if we can intervene with the ones that are currently abused, and we know that the work's not in vain. We represent the state because we are the only kids on the block that will travel the whole state. We're glad that the Women's Fund focuses on South Central Kentucky, but we obviously know this is a statewide issue, and we want our organization to try to reach every child if possible.
Welcome back, and thanks to Kids on the Block for giving us that great update on what they've been up to. So now let's get down to business. We do have a brief business meeting scheduled for tonight. I want to thank our 3 outgoing advisory board members, Paige Beard, our beloved past chair, Debbie McCormick, and Sherry Sheets. These ladies have contributed so much hard work to make a big impact on our community, and we appreciate all that you've done. We're also pleased to announce our 2 new incoming advisory board members, Julie Milam and Kathy Higgins. And I thank both of you ladies for being willing to commit your time to help move our organization forward. I also want to give a big thank you to our advisory board members who will continue to serve, and for our new incoming officers. We have Sandy Seeley, who is our incoming president, who you're going to hear more from later tonight. Nancy Brandenburg, our vice president. Monica Taylor, secretary. And Dina Nelson, our treasurer. Our other advisory board members are Sherry Anderson, Vicki Fitch, Kathy Kemp, Beth McKinney, Kathleen Overton, Emily Pride, Stacy Sims, and Shannon Vitale. Thank you to this amazing group of ladies for continuing to serve us as we work to make a big impact in our community. Now let's hear from some of our 14 grant winners and learn about the impact they've been making since our grant just a couple months ago. And be sure to stay tuned for our second drawing coming up right after the video.
The Women's Fund makes an impact.
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 Hi, my name's Rod Goodman. I'm the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity. We received $2,176 from the Women's Fund, which we used to help keep our staff going, to help keep our program going during this time. Immediately, that money was wonderful because it didn't require a lot of work to get it. And it was so nice to have this gift that just reached out to us. And so it was fantastic for that. And in the long term, it's helping us to continue to serve families. We've put in infrastructure for 30 new homes this year. We are doing veterans repairs. We're doing foreclosure prevention, and we just put a new family in a home. So that money's helping us to keep going and provide strength, stability, and self-reliance for families in the future.
Hi, I'm Rondell Miller, Executive Director of Hotel Inc. We received $13,035.07 from the Women's Fund Impact Grant, and we are using it to help offset our operational costs during this unprecedented time. The simplicity was very helpful this year, and being able to support even more nonprofits in the community and spreading the impact. So it was great, and the timing couldn't have been better. We are using the funds to help offset our operational cost, as many nonprofits are experiencing uncertainty of donations each month. So this time it's perfect timing.
Hi, I'm Katie Selinsky, Director of Development at Lost River Cave. To the amazing women who are the Women's Fund of South Central Kentucky, thank you. Thank you for your support and for the emergency grant funding in the amount of $10,882. The changes you made to this year's grant cycle allowed us to focus on the immediate need of providing a COVID-safe environment for our community and our staff. You allowed us to focus on providing the escape, the place where women and families can bring their kids and grandkids to leave the pandemic behind and find themselves in nature in a way they can only do at Lost River Cave. For children from low-income families, the escape this year is more important than it has ever been before.
I'm Liz Bernard, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Bowling Green. We received a grant of $6,577, and we are thrilled to put that towards our new club academy that we're opening the week after fall break. We have been open since September 8th for the first time since March for after school hours, and what we found is that our kids really need support in the virtual component of their hybrid learning, and so we are switching it up, and we will be open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday for kids to come to the club and have access to the internet and help with their homework by our youth development professionals. We'll serve meals and snacks and just give them a safe place to have that academic support that they so desperately need. This was the easiest grant we've ever gotten because it was a total surprise. There was really no work that went into it on our part. The work had already been done in years past when we had applied for the Women's Fund grant and subsequently been a finalist. And so when we got the notification that we were being awarded a grant, it was just the greatest surprise. You always love when people call you up and say, hey, we want to give you some money.
My name is Nikki Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Family Enrichment Center. Our agency received just over $8,500 from the Women's Fund of South Central Kentucky. When COVID hit, we didn't realize the impact it would make on our organization, and our families still needed our services. We realized very quickly that we weren't equipped to do that. So with the Women's Fund money, we were able to purchase cameras for our computers that allowed our services to be provided virtually. When you're a small nonprofit, any monetary contribution in a time like this is critical, and it was very easy for us to receive that funding. The timing was really perfect when we received the funding because it was totally unexpected. You know, the funding that we received, some of those things went for emergency things that we needed right away: masks, thermometers, gloves, things that would keep us safe. But the other things that we received, like the equipment and software, will be things that we can utilize for years to come with our families to support them.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
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 Hey everybody, we're ready for our next drawing. This is for the Atala plastic surgery gift basket and gift card combination. So real excited. Thank you so much, Atala. And our winner is Nicole Payton. So what I'm gonna do is we'll contact you and let you know how to go pick up your gift. And also ready for our next update from our grantees.
The Women's Fund makes an impact.
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 The Women's Fund makes an impact in our community. Hello, we are Captains Laura and Michael Cox with the Salvation Army here in Bowling Green.
Because of your generosity, we were able to receive $15,961.31. We were able to replace our washers and dryers that were much needed. We also replaced some of our furnishings in our 6 family units. We replaced many of our items in our kitchen, as well as providing boxes so that we can continue to do food distribution for those in need of groceries.
And the timing of the grant was perfect due to the increase in numbers that we were helping due to COVID. We were able to replace things that were broken and needed attention.
The Women's Fund Emergency Grant made an impact by allowing us to better serve those affected by this pandemic. We can continue to serve immediate needs as well as provide a long-term recovery for the many families we serve.
Hello, my name is Brian Lewis. I'm the Executive Director at Hope House Ministries. Because of the Women's Fund and the generous contributions, we received a little bit over $4,000. And those funds are going to be able to help nearly 4 families overcome some unsurmountable odds that they could not overcome themselves. As an organization trying to serve many families in the midst of the COVID pandemic, you can imagine that we are encountering insurmountable odds. But the process to receiving this Women's Fund was an unbelievable blessing. Usually when you apply for a grant, you're having to go through mounds of paperwork, but to get an email that says, hey, we're going to send you some money so you can impact more families, really helped encourage our staff and ultimately serve so many families that were in desperate need of help. That money immediately went to work. We're getting 30 plus calls a day of people who are needing assistance due to circumstances that are outside of their control. And so we were able to take those funds and add it to additional COVID funds that we've received from the community and immediately put it to work. And it's just a blessing that we can be on the other side of that phone call and say, hey, you don't need to worry about this. The community is here for you. Let us help you overcome this obstacle so you can continue to move forward and care for your family and others around you.
My name is Jeff Goodnight, and I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Franklin Simpson in Allen County, Scottsville. We thankfully received $1,500 from the Women's Fund, and it's going to go to help us. Right now, we're still doing virtual programming, so it will go to help offset the cost of that. But we will be getting kids back in our building in October in Franklin, and so it will go help with the cost of the technology that we need for the kids to help them with our virtual programming and stuff when they're not in school. At any time we get a grant, we're so thankful, and especially during this time of uncertainty and the COVID, fundraising is a little difficult. You can't do in-person fundraising and all that. So, to get any type of grant will always be beneficial to our kids and our club. Again, immediately, we are having to pay unexpected costs with technology to be able to reach out to our kids and use our kids. So immediately that helped with that. And then we're going to have to invest in the technology moving forward, because I feel like, that's going to be a big, I think that's the way that the world's going to go to, is the technology of in-person and out-of-person school for our kids and everything else. So we will invest that money into that type of technology going forward.
My name is Ashley Reynolds. I'm the Executive Director of Kentucky Kids on the Block. We received $2,906 from the Women's Fund of South Central Kentucky. We are specifically using that toward buying some things that have helped in our office with moving toward more virtual programming. We just needed some specific things to cater to that. And we also just needed to be able to further impact kids still in their classrooms, but be able to do it virtually. It's not often that money just shows up at your door if you didn't request it or have to fill out any kind of application. This additional gift this year was just such an enormous gift to us, especially during COVID, a year that everything is kind of in flux and you're not really knowing what's going to happen with your organization in terms of funding. And the Women's Fund just shows up and they know how to really make an impact and just roll with the punches even in a year that none of us expected. The silver lining is that we're learning to adapt and impact children and families in all different ways. And we specifically, of course, impact children and we're still going to get on their level even if we're not physically in their classroom. Our performances are still going to be live. They can still ask the puppets questions, and we know we're going to change lives, and we know that kids are missing interaction with their peers, with having to socially distance and not go to the places they would normally go to, and just being so isolated. We want to remind kids that there are still these puppets that they can ask questions to that reflect their hopes, fears, likes, dislikes. And in a world as it is today, kids have a lot of fears and they need a lot of questions answered.
Hi, I'm Carla Brown, Director of Children's Services for Community Action of Southern Kentucky. We received $3,337 that will be used to purchase backpacks similar to these. We will fill these backpacks with personal care items, personal protective equipment, and most importantly, school readiness materials. The grant came at an excellent time, a time when families are on the back end of this pandemic. So these additional supports will provide them with items needed to carry them through the winter. Long term, the school readiness materials will be able to provide families with additional supports to prepare their children for kindergarten and life in general. And once again, short term, these materials will be able to give them a break from having to worry about purchasing those personal protective items or personal care items. Just give them some relief.
Thank you, Women's Funds.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Welcome back. It was so great to hear from our grantees and what they've been up to. It has truly been an honor to serve as your chair for the past 2 years. The impact that you guys have made on me and the experience of being able to see the needs of the community have really impacted me in a big way, and that has been so special, and I'm so thankful to be part of this amazing group of women. So next, it is truly my honor to introduce to you the incoming chairman of the Women's Fund of South Central Kentucky, Sandy Seeley.
Thank you, Kara. I'm honored to serve as the new advisory board chair, and I'm looking forward to working with you to continue to grow our impact for women, children, and families in South Central Kentucky. I am grateful to be a founding member of the Women's Fund, and I want to share with you why I am a member. I am a member because of the impact that we have together. 8 years ago, I received a request from Shannon Vitale to become a member of the Women's Fund. We discussed the vision for the Women's Fund and the founding principle that one woman can make a difference, but together we can make an impact. How true that is and has become. As I look back over the 8-year journey of the Women's Fund, I am humbled and grateful to see the impact that the Women's Fund has had. That impact is because of the belief and commitment in the Women's Fund by our many members and the dedication and efforts of our volunteers. I'm a member of the Women's Fund because of the needs in our community. I've had the opportunity to serve the Grants Committee and Many of you have heard me say this before. Serving on the Grants Committee was for me a unique opportunity to see firsthand the overwhelming needs in our community and the outstanding work being done by so many organizations to meet those needs. I'm a member because of my fellow members and our member volunteers. Our members are so impressive. They are focused on the needs of our community and are engaged, committed, and excited to be a part of the Women's Fund and the impact that we have together. I've had the honor to participate on several of our Women's Fund committees, and I have to say, I'm in awe of the women I've served with. These women come to the table with a caring spirit, boundless energy, and an amazing commitment to get things done. They have a true passion for the Women's Fund. Our meetings are full of energy and great ideas, all with a focus on how we can make things better and have a bigger impact for women, children, and families. Now I want to take a minute to say a few thank yous. I want to thank all of our volunteers and committee members. Your help is crucial in everything that we do. Thank you to all the members of the advisory board and your dedication and effort. I also want to say thank you to Jennifer Wethington and the Community Foundation for everything they do for us all through the year. They are such a tremendous help. I want to say a special thank you to Kara Benningfield, our outgoing advisory chair. I've been so fortunate to work with and learn from Kara these past 2 years. Her leadership, insight, and commitment to the Women's Fund is absolutely remarkable. I'm especially grateful for her insight and her determination to help us navigate through such a challenging year, to ensure the Women's Fund responded to the needs of the community with our immediate needs, immediate action, impact. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of our members of the Women's Fund. You are the reason the Women's Fund continues to have an impact in South Central Kentucky. Now, members, I want to also encourage you, if you haven't already, please renew your membership. And if you know someone who isn't a member but might be interested in joining, please encourage them to reach out to us. You, our membership, are essential for us to continue to have an impact. And just as a reminder, you have the option to spread payments out over the year using bill pay on your checking account. Or if you want to use a credit card, you can use the sign up button on Facebook or the link in our Instagram, or you can go straight to the Community Foundation website and follow the link to the Women's Fund page. You might be interested in contributing before the end of the year for tax purposes. The deadline for the membership in 2021 is June 30th. Now, let's hear from a few more of our grant winners, and be sure to stay tuned for our final drawing.
The Women's Fund makes an impact.
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 Hello, my name is Melissa Whitley. I'm the Executive Director for Hope Harbor. We received $1,886 that we had decided as an organization, since the Women's Fund had chosen us as a finalist for our primary prevention program, Green Dot, several years ago, that we'd utilize those funds to help support those programs within the agency. And so we were able to purchase items that we're going to be able to give to the participants while they're in school or while they're attending virtually, and be able to share that message even more. So being able to receive this grant was a blessing during this time, especially as agencies like ours and many others were preparing policies and procedures and trying to figure out how to keep our clients and our staff safe. And so a grant application just was not in the cards this year. Funding was kind of the last thing on the list. It was more about safety and health. And so being able to receive this kind of surprise grant from the votes from the Women's Fund was something that we really didn't imagine and were blessed to receive. And being able to support our prevention programming, our anti-violence programming within our community. The participants will have information printed, as well as things that they can have in their hands to take home about this, to share with their friends and their family. And we know that this program in particular really requires buy-in from those students and the participants. And so when they are bought into anti-violence and to bystander intervention, we know that those schools and the locations where this program is done, we can decrease violence with 17 to 21% within those communities. And so in long term, we're providing a safer community for all of us.
My name is Emily Harlan. I'm the Brand Experience Coordinator for Junior Achievement of South Central Kentucky. We received $2,829.50, and that will go towards the purchase of program materials for live virtual classes for our students. The Women's Fund made receiving our funding very easy and simple. It was a very easy process, very straightforward, and the Women's Fund provided us this check, and we were able to socially distance, we wore masks, and it was very fun. The Women's Fund makes it easy to receive money for our cause. The effect that this grant will have on our programs is cumulative for our students. It really helps us to get the ball rolling on those virtual classes. The work we do now impacts their future in a global economy.
I'm Tori Henninger. I'm the Executive Director of the Barren River Area Safe Space, more commonly known as BRASS. We received $12,237, and that money is going to go directly to the impact COVID-19 has had on my communal shelter, including helping us with the costs of the alternative shelter location to maintain social distancing, the PPE, the cleaning supplies, and the individually packaged food to make sure that we're serving all 400 plus individuals every year. This application process just truly encourages the idea of year-round participation in programming and services. Being able to have received a grant based off of the historical knowledge of our program and what we do in the community was integral to the success of this grant. So I think the impact is the same, immediate and long-term. The more local funding that we can receive helps us to incentivize federal and state grantors to provide us assistance. Every local dollar is used as match towards our bigger federal and state grants.
My name is Terry Daniels. I am the Executive Director of the Foundry Christian Community Center. We were grateful to receive from the Women's Fund $14,074, and those funds will be used to continue to educate our 3, 4, and 5-year-old students in the West End. You know, when they reached out to us to make us aware that we received the funds, we were excited and certainly thankful. They called, scheduled a meeting, and in fact, they came on the day of our opening and met me at the Foundry location at 7:30 to present myself and Education Director our gift while our students were going into the school. The funds will be used to continue to educate our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in the short term in the West End, the most impoverished area of Bowling Green. But long term, the funds are going to continue to make a lasting impact on our students, on our families, and on our community in the West End for all that are involved.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Thank you, Women's Fund.
Welcome back for our last drawing, and this is for the Regina Spa and Salon basket for 2. And we're so happy that Regina has been so kind to us for every year for the last, 7 years. She's donated this basket to be given away to encourage our members to pay their membership before the night of our event or at the night of the event, and it has worked great. So everybody that's prepaid is in this basket, or this bag, I should say. So now it's time for me to draw. All right, it is Lauren Sims. So congratulations. We will contact you and let you know how you can pick up your basket, and that's it.
I want to say a big thank you tonight for each of our grant winners and taking the time to do these videos and sharing a little bit with us, with our membership, about the big impact that you are making on our community. And we appreciate all you do. And to our members, if you've seen an organization here tonight that speaks to your heart, if you could find ways to support them individually in any way you can, we know that will help continue our impact and expand it beyond what we're doing even here just in the fund. I want to thank each member personally for contributing and allowing us to make this big impact. And for those of you who are on with us virtually tonight, thank you for trying it out. I know it's something different, and we're probably going to be getting together virtually some as we move into the new year. So thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely could not make this big impact without you. I can't say that enough times. Sandy can't say that enough times. It's really the joining of all of us women together to do something that we couldn't do on our own that makes all of this possible. It is so amazing for me to stand up here tonight. For those of you who know me, I'm a numbers girl, right? We've given away $866,000 since 2013 to benefit women, children, and families in South Central Kentucky. We now have over $1 million in our endowment, and that allows us to make a benefit that continues forever to support our community. These are absolutely reasons to celebrate. We are just so happy to be able to celebrate with you virtually tonight. So I've got my bubbly. Get yours ready. I want you to join me in a toast. And don't forget to take your selfie while you're doing your toast tonight, post it on social media. So cheers to our Women's Fund members and all that you've accomplished in 2020 and all that you are going to accomplish in the future.
Cheers to the Women's Fund.
Cheers to the Women's Fund.
And that concludes our program for this evening. Thank you again for joining our first virtual annual meeting, and good night.
Perfect.